Welcome back to the channel everyone, and it's time for another quick video from inside the tackle room. Now before lockdown was a thing, we had the big one show at Stoneleigh Park. Now we was on the Preston Innovations stand and it was absolutely rammed with loads and loads of people, great guests and loads of questions, and hopefully you all had a good time, those of you who visited. Now one of the most common questions for me and my partner in crime on the day, Lee Kerry, was about the ICS system. Now we was in charge of doing the ICS feeder demos, and one of the things that really surprised me was how few people were familiar with it. It's a system that we've had on sale for a number of years now, 3 or 4 years perhaps, and it's kind of revolutionised feeder fishing, if you like. What is the ICS system? It's called interchange system. So it allows you to use multiple feeders using the same stem. Allow me to demonstrate. So what we've got is one of the feeders. In this case it's a cage feeder, but fundamentally it's all built around this stem. So this stem stays on your line at all times and it allows you to put a number of different feeders on it. You've got distance method feeders, you've got maggot feeders, we've got a cage feeder as I've already mentioned, we've got a pellet feeder, and then we've got the awesome Dura method feeder. Now all of these feeders work with this stem. And it's so simple, and this is what I couldn't believe, people hadn't seen when we was at the big one show. And trust me, as soon as anybody saw this, they wanted them. So, say I'm fishing a match and I want to try a cage feeder. So all I have to do is pop the tail rubber off, locate the slot on the back of the feeder, slide the stem through, put the tail rubber back on, and I'm using a cage feeder. Now on the flip side, so I might be thinking, well, I don't really want to use a cage feeder anymore. I might want to try the Dura method. So again, all I need to do, super simple, pop the stem out, remove the cage feeder, locate the slot on the back of the feeder, and then you pop the method feeder on. It's as simple as that, and now I'm fishing a method feeder. Now that can work with any of the feeders that I've got. Absolutely brilliant design. We've even got match cubes, which are like a lovely little dumpy square lead. Exactly the same principle. Got the slit down the middle so you can change it. Absolutely awesome. So as you can see, such a versatile system on what is essentially one stem. Now, we've taken that a step further, obviously, and then we've got the swivel stem, which allows the feeder to be transformed. It comes as an inline feeder, so like the cage feeder, for example, is an inline feeder as standard. However, with the addition of the ICS swivel stem, I can just slot that in there and use this feeder as a normal feeder. So if I want to use, go conventional sort of bream and skimmer fishing, I can use that, clip a normal swivel on as per normal, and use it on a sliding rig, a paternoster, a helicopter rig, whatever you want to do. That feeder then becomes a standard traditional style feeder. So as you can see, the number of uses is just insane with this. Likewise, we do elasticated stems. So if you don't want to use inline, you might be one of the guys, a number of venues, particularly in the Midlands, allow elasticated feeders. We do the elasticated stems, various different grades. Again, absolutely perfect. I can just pop them in my method feeder, and then it's just a case of attaching a link swivel or even looping your line around that, and you've got the perfect setup for that as well. The range is huge. There's loads of different weights, loads of different sizes, but ultimately it's such a simple system that allows you to cover so many different situations. Take the method feeder for example. We've got the Dura method that comes in a small, a large and an XL. The small and the large are probably the most popular sizes for my fishing. The XL probably comes more into it if I was going venues like Boddington in the height of summer when I know the fish want loads of bait. But for me, the large has caught me so many fish over the years. That is the feeder for me. The ribs in the middle are splayed slightly, so you can pop your hook bait right in the middle without fear of it getting damaged, and they've got enough ribs there to hold the bait on. It's got a lovely low profile too, so it's close to the bottom. And in my opinion, that is as good as method feeders have got. It's just an amazing design. Super strong as well. However, if I want to fish at longer range, don't get me wrong, that feeder casts really well. And if I was fishing up to 80 metres, that feeder, no problem whatsoever. However, if you are one of those guys who loves to chuck a long way, then we do the distance ICS method feeder too. And it's an absolute beast. As you can see, it's got a tapered design, so all the weight is at the front end, and it's also got like a bait shield around the front, so as the feeder enters the water, it gives it some protection. Again, it's got well thought out bar placement to enable you to get that hook bait right in where you want it, and it gives the micro pellets enough protection on the cast. 2 method feeders there that cover you for a lot of fishing. Now, as always, Preston Innovations are famed for these beauties, method moulds. Now, the ICS range, the method feeders, the 2 method feeders in the range, both have moulds, as you would expect from Preston Innovations. They're the push button design, absolutely awesome. Make fishing so easy, these do. So if you would like to use a method mould, rest assured, best in the business, these moulds. Now, of course, the ICS is absolutely fantastic for 75 to 80% of the year. You know, there's a feeder in that range that will suit you, or a bomb, or a match cube, or a maggot feeder that will suit your fishing no matter what. However, in the winter months and when the water's cooler, we felt we needed something to scale it all down a little bit, and that was where the ICM was born, Interchange Mini. Now, it's the same principle, exactly the same principle, however it's a scaled down, refined version for those winter months. This is where it all started, really. The ICM method feeder, lovely little dinky feeder, absolutely tiny. It's about the size of a 50p coin, something like that. Just perfect, just a lovely little bit of bait in there. Works with a mould once again, as always, our feeders come with moulds. And as you can see, it's got that stem again. Now, this is a smaller stem, so just to bear in mind, the ICM and the ICS, although it is the same system in principle, they both have different size stems. So the ICS has the thicker stem, ICM, because of the smaller feeders, has a smaller stem. However, the principle is the same. So if I wanted to change from the ICM method, I can do, and I can just swap to an ICM pellet feeder, which is a beautiful little design. I remember I used to spend ages making pellet feeders. Don't need to anymore because this one is so good. Pop the stem off, slide it in, and I'm fishing the pellet feeder. Exactly the same principle, absolutely wonderful. And again, we've got ICM bombs, we've got a little mini ICM cage, which I've been using all winter, and we've even got a tiny little ICM maggot feeder, perfect for introducing maggots when you need to. The final jewel in the crown, so to speak, again, is the ICM swivel stem kit, which again transforms the little cage feeder that we've got here into a traditional cage feeder. Now, this can be used with the maggot feeder too, and it can also be used with the ICM match cube. So I've got 3 lovely little feeders there that can work wonderfully as a traditional feeder, and I know the ICM cage feeder, for example, I've used that all winter as a little tiny little skimmer feeder. Venues like Hallcroft, Barston, that feeder is fantastic. One thing to note on the cage feeders, and that goes for the ICM and the ICS cage feeder, they've got a taper on them just to encourage the bait to flush out the way you want to. So when you reel in, the funnel shape allows the bait to come out. So there you go, a quick run through of the ICS and ICM system. Some of you might not have been aware of it, so if you haven't seen it, hopefully this video will answer a few questions. However, if you do have some more questions off the back of this video, get them in below and I'll get on the keyboard and answer them. But for now, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff, and we'll see you again soon.